Welcome, everyone. Dr. Anthony Criniti IV here, also known as Dr. Finance. We have Mike C-Roc, Ciorrocco on the line, and he is an amazing entrepreneur, also a new author of a book called Rocket Fuel, and a Clubhouse buddy. So there's a lot of good things we're going to learn today. So welcome, Mike C-Roc. How are you, Mike?
What's happening? What's happening, Anthony? Hey, listen, I start every interview, podcast, every show I go on with gratitude because, it's such a big part of my life. And I want to thank you for having me. Thank you for pulling me up on stages in Clubhouse rooms, and just also thank you to your audience for showing up.
Thank you, Mike. It's my honor and pleasure to have you there. So, Mike, we want to get to know you. Want to learn a little bit more about you. First, want to start with your origin story. Actually, even before that, let's do if you could do a quick 30-second just summary of your basically like a resume, your bio, and then we'll get into your story itself, just so the audience knows who you are.
Yeah, sure. So I have a real estate background, mortgage and finance background. I have a large division I run for a company called Nations Lending that I started from just me and my partner to 40 employees, 7 branches. That still operates. I've made myself obsolete as far as the day-to-day of that, which is awesome because I can go on to bigger things with my other missions. I'm in tech. I'm involved with a tech incubator and tech products out of a incubator with Grant Cardone and Jared Yellen called 10X Incubator. And I'm a performance coach, best-selling author, podcaster. What are you made of? And I'm a husband and father of 2 kids.
That is awesome. Thank you, Mike. So that's the bio. Let's get to the story now. So you want to tell us a little about yourself? So you're originally from Maryland.
Whoa, right? No, actually, I live in Maryland now, but I'm originally from outside of Philly. So
I thought so, man.
Yeah.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah. There's a little bit of an accent that you could probably pick up, but my dad's side of the family is from Kennett Square. They were in the mushroom business. My cousin Pat Ciorrocco was on Channel 3 News back in the day.
I know Pat Ciorrocco.
Yeah. So the Ciorrocco family was, my last name was not mine. My family's last name was originally Ciorrocco, but in the mushroom business, my grandfather and the cousins and all that, they had an issue, I guess, with checks or something. And they basically changed our last name to Ciorrocco, so my name isn't directly from Italy, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Wow. So, mushroom business, as you know, Kennett Square is the mushroom capital of the world. And when I was about 11, I moved to Maryland.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting. So, you were originally from outside Philadelphia, from Kennett Square itself, from the actual area?
Yeah. I lived in Avondale.
I've been to the festival they have once a year.
Yeah.
Awesome festival.
It smells like shit there, by the way. I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss. I apologize, but it smells like.
That's okay. It's 100,000 each one.
Well, it smells like horse manure, cow manure, whatever they use, and you just get used to it living there. And then, the funny thing is I moved down to the Eastern Shore of Maryland and Delaware, and they have chicken farms everywhere. So now it smells like a different kind of crap down here. So
that's funny. Wow. So you're pretty close to Philly. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So what was your childhood like?
Yeah, man. I'm sure a lot of your listeners can relate to this, but I grew up in a broken home. I don't remember my family together, my parents together. I grew up around a lot of broken people, alcohol, drugs, anxiety, depression, suicide, abuse, and conflict. And I just remember my childhood being like that. And I thought it was ordinary. I thought this is the way you're supposed to be, growing up. And, when I was 8, my mom decided to get remarried for the 3rd time, and she was going to move into another man's house. And I didn't want to move into another man's house, learn another man's rules. And so I said, you know what, let me give my dad's house a shot, take a risk. From a young age, I was always taking risks and looking for bigger and better. Like I just had this thing inside of me. I don't know where it came from, but so I tried my dad's house out for a period of time, and my stepmom was cool at first. And then there was some kind of conflict going on with her, my mom, my dad. I don't know all the details, but nonetheless, it all poured down on us kids. And with that being the case, dealt with a lot of abuse, psychological, mental. And, at times from what I was seeing and hearing at night, I remember being 9 years old, sleeping with my baseball bat because I felt threatened, and I heard threats. And so at some point I realized that wasn't ordinary. And I would go to my friend's house and see their families. And I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing in this situation? I could have that. So I shared with what was going on a trip to my mom's house on a weekend. I shared with what was going on, and she's like, "Are you kidding me? Like you don't ever need to be putting up with that. That's not normal." And remember, southeastern Pennsylvania, I was coming from Maryland on the weekends, going back to Avondale, Kennett Square area. There's these hills that you go over from Hockessin, Atlantenburg, for those of you in that area. And I would come home on the weekends with my stomach in knots, and then the hills on the roads didn't make it any better. And I was so anxious to go back to that environment. And so when I was sharing with my mom, she said, look, I'm going to file court papers to get you out of there. But when I do, I can't have you hanging me out to dry, because if you flip and flop back and forth, it's going to be a problem. So you have to stick to your guns. If you truly believe in this, you have to stick to your guns. And Anthony, that's a lesson that I've carried with me my whole life, because she told me that people are going to try to talk you out of things when you believe in them. And they're going to try to match their agenda, or they're going to get threatened with you doing better than them. They're going to pull you back. You got to stick to your guns. So I developed this sense of stubbornness, or as I like to call it, inexorable. Being inexorable means unyielding and unable to be stopped when you want something. And so she filed those court papers. Weeks went by, and I was on edge every day when I came home from school, because I didn't know when my dad was going to get served. And one day it finally happened, and I came into the house. The tension in the place was so thick. You could feel it. And my dad had these papers in his hand. And my dad's an Italian guy, very hard worker, had his own masonry business, block, concrete, brick. And that's why I put a brick wall behind me on my show, just to kind of, symbolism to me growing up. I worked in that kind of business, mixing mud. And if you shake my dad's hand, he had a real rough hand. You could tell he was a hard worker. And I always looked up to him for that. And he always used to do the wad $100 bills. He didn't have a wallet. Most Italians, we don't carry wallets. We carry wads of money with a rubber band around it. And he used to flash money in $100 bills all the time. And I always had this yearning and urge to, I got to get a lot of that. I got to get that. So he sent me to my room when I came home from school that day. And I was waiting for my hero, my dad, to come back and confront me. And he said, look, I don't understand, son. It says here you want to move back with your mom. Like you have everything you need here. You have it made here. Why would you want to go back to that, where she's got men coming in and out of the house? Which he was exaggerating, of course, just she was on her third marriage. She doesn't have any money. She's broke. Why would you want to go back to that? But see, I wasn't abused there. He didn't understand that. And I said, look, I'm not discussing this. My 10-year-old self sitting there. I made my mind up. He said, okay. So he takes that wad of $100 bills out, peeled one off, crumpled it up, and threw it at me. So here, you're going to need this then when you're living on the streets with your mother one day. And at the first thing that came to my mind is like, oh, man, what did I just do? What bomb did I just set off? And because remember, there's some denial that goes on when there's things like that going on. And there's also a sense of like concern of, well, what's going to happen to the abuser? If you tell people that you're being abused, what's going to happen to them? Like, this is a weird thing that happens. But the other thing that came into mind really quickly, remember, I'm inexorable. Like, I want to do something, I'm not going to be stopped, is that I'm not going to need that money. You can take that money and shove it, man. I'm not going to need that money. I know your world revolves around money, and you think that everybody like caves into you. I'm not going to need that. And so for 30 some years, Ant, I used to drive off of this moment, not letting my dad win. I know you're
from Philly. I want to pause you for a second. No one calls me Ant unless they're from Philly.
My brother, I don't even know where I came from. My dad, my youngest brother, his name's Anthony. We call him Ant. So I don't even know where that came from. I hope that's okay.
And I'm from South Philly, by the way. And in South Philly, it was Anthony.
Anthony, yeah.
That's why when I moved, I called myself Tony. No one understood my accent. And they're like, Anthony, what's that?
Yeah.
I just say Tony. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's cool. I hope I didn't offend you. But
no, not at all.
So at that moment, I just knew that I could make money. I was selling golf balls on a golf course to golfers when I was 8, 25, 50 cents. I knew I could make money. I knew I could hustle. So from that moment, 30 some years, I drove off of that though. Like anything I did, I was like, I'm not going to let him win. Sports, work, school. I wanted to be the best. And that drive sometimes would isolate me. I noticed sometimes that people felt uncomfortable around me, and I couldn't figure out why. I noticed some people, if I didn't pull back to them to where they were, I would get jumped a lot. I would get, bullied, but I kept going anyway, because I'm not going to let him win. And subconsciously, this went on for 30 some years. Now, a couple of years ago, I was in a business. I was working for a different mortgage company. I built a big business. $1 million kind of went missing from us. Okay. I'm taking full responsibility for allowing that to happen. Even though you hearing the story probably would think that guy screwed you. I take responsibility for what happened. But during that time, it was a really dark time. And I had to go through some self-assessment, self-analysis. And I was trying to figure out in my life, why would I still elevate no matter what happened to me in my life? Why, when I got screwed around, taken advantage of, discouraged, my own screw ups, why would I still elevate anyway? Because I wanted to figure this out. I wanted to bottle this. And I found that I was taking everything that would come my way that would normally stop people or slow them down. And I was storing it in my fuel tank instead of my trunk where most people keep it, which weighs you down. I was able to convert, because I stored it in the right place, into rocket fuel to become unstoppable. Now, I say normal would stop normal or slow normal people down because I don't feel like I'm normal. Now, I don't think anybody's normal. I think most people settle for normal. And then that's what makes them normal. And that stops them and slows them down. I'm not normal. I've already figured this out. Like, I've been put on this planet by an all-powerful God to do unbelievable things to most people. And I want to bring other people along with me and show them that they're all unstoppable to live in the life of their dreams.
Wow, that's amazing. So C-Roc, what happened after you started getting into high school and stuff, and then did you go to college? What was the story from that point?
Yeah, so I went to my mom's when I was 11 and went to 6th grade, started playing football for the first time. And I was really able to take anger out and aggression out on the football field. And I just remember, like, I felt like a superhero when I was on the football field. Now, I was never big enough to go to the pros. I'm 5'6" and 3/4. I did, I'm like a square. I'm
Wow,
200.
that's Grant Cardone's size, I think.
Yeah, but he's not as big as me. Like, he's not like,
yeah, you got more big frame.
Yeah. I'm 210 right now, but I was like 185 in college. But I played high school and football, but I would get jumped, man. I was, when I was in elementary school, I used to hang around the Latino community. I was like a minority in my other school, in elementary school, right? I moved to Maryland, and it was mostly whites. And then there was a few African-Americans. I didn't know who to hang out with, honestly. So I tried to hang out with the African-Americans, and they kicked my ass. And I didn't know why. I couldn't figure out why, because I wanted to just belong. I wanted to hang out. I wanted to, just socialize and all that. So that was some other things that went on when I was younger, to try to work myself through, trying to figure my way through things. And so, yeah, then I ended up going to college at Salisbury University, which is a Division III school, and I played football for 2 years. Wasn't quite big or fast enough to really make as big an impact as I wanted to. But in the role that I did play, I went all out, and I won Scout Team Player of the week pretty much every week when I was a freshman. Wow. And I would kick the veterans' butts at practice and drive them, and just trying to provide elevation for everybody that was around me. It's always been my MO is I want to elevate people around me.
That's really good. Thank you, Mike. What's it like growing up Italian in Maryland?
The bread's not the same. You can't get good bread anywhere. I did marry an Italian girl, so thank God I found a nice Italian woman to marry. But yeah, I mean, it's just different. And, as time went on, there's more Italian places that open up. There's a guy named Fausto that opened up a place in Ocean City, Maryland. He used to be in Philly, and he's one of the best in the world. He's originally from Italy. And so he opened up right down the street here, and he lives in my neighborhood. We call him Uncle Fausto. So I'm pretty well taken care of when it comes to the food.
That's good. So, all right. So we're going to fast forward after college. How did you get into the whole entrepreneur scene?
Well, I was doing a restaurant business. I dropped out of college with a 4.0 and said, I'm done with this. I'm tired of being tested. I want to go out and make some money. And I thought, and I'm going to blame Tom Cruise for this, because, what happened, I watched Cocktail. I don't know if
that was a good movie.
And when I watched that, I'm like, wait a minute. I was already working in the restaurant business part-time. And I'm like, dude, this is a great idea. I would love to live in the tropics and own my own bar. And how awesome would this be? And I just went off the deep end. I said, I'm out of college. I'm done. And I was smoking a lot of weed back then. And I was really unfocused and I lost my mission, because I didn't drink in high school. I didn't drink until I got to college. Uh-huh. And I just started fantasizing, which, I don't think there's anything wrong with fantasizing and imagining. But I probably should have finished. Anyway, I go out to the bar business, and before you know it, again, I'm off track. Remember, I had this vision of what it would be like, but I noticed all the people that worked in the bar and restaurant business did drugs, cocaine, drinking. They would get off their shift and that they would go to party, and all day you sleep and then you go back to your shift again. And it took me out of my zone. And so I dealt with that for a while and went to really dark places and like in my mind. And then thank God I met my wife, Jen, because she straightened me up. I recommitted myself. I had a new target, new purpose, and got back on track. And I met a guy during that whole process. His name was Joe, and he had a water treatment business where he would go into homes and sell water treatment for RainSoft. And I would go for 9 years. I did in-home sales from that point on, cut my teeth in the sales game, got really good, building rapport, closing the deals, handling objections and all that jazz. And at some point I was like, this isn't a big enough game for me. You know what? I don't know if you experience this or anybody that's listening experience this, but as I've gone through my life, I go through periods of time where I'd have success in these areas. And then I'd be like, and I didn't say this to myself till recently, till my coach taught me this, but I went through this thing, like, I'm not playing a big enough game. And I would have anxiety inside. I would have some kind of thing inside of me going nuts. Like there's something wrong here. It's because I wasn't playing a big enough game at the time. So I've gone through my life where I've always gone through these things. Okay, what's next? Accomplish this. What's next? What's next? And I think that I'd be a lot further along if I didn't get hung up in that drugs and drinking phase, which a lot of people go through. But yeah, man, I mean, it's my life has always been see how big of a game I can play and then move on to the next game.
I want to go back to what your story you were telling earlier, C-Roc, about how you moved to Maryland. You couldn't really fit it. You were looking for the right groups and you tried all these different groups and you couldn't fit in. Do you think that might have had some kind of an effect on you to want to add that more rocket fuel to become a better person? Because maybe you already felt different as it is, and that feeling of different doesn't go away. I know it myself. At some point, maybe that experience will catch up to you to realize, well, all right, I'm different anyway. So what do I want to do in life? I'm going to do it anyway because I don't have to worry about social pressure. I'm already odd as it is. So maybe I'll just do what I want. How about that one? So
yeah,
what's your thoughts on that?
100%. I would go home at night when I would get jumped or have problems. And I would look, man, I might be weird and that's okay, but I talk to myself. And I always talk to myself because I've been alone a lot in my life, even though there was a lot of kids around me a lot, and I've been alone a lot. And I want somebody that thinks like me around me all the time. So I would talk to myself and I would go home at night and talk to myself and say, look, I don't know what the issue is here, but they just don't know what they're dealing with. And it's not that I wanted to fight back and beat them up or anything, but they just don't know what I'm capable of to help them. And so I got to figure out in like creative ways to be able to get inside of people's heads. So from a young age, I've always thought about that. And then even as I got older, though, I got into the real estate business after the in-home sales thing and into mortgages after that. And I would start to surround myself with people that were back into the days of the drinking and drugs again, right? And I surrounded myself with people thinking that way, but I wasn't in it. I didn't want to be involved with it, but I wanted to do the business that they were doing because they were doing mortgage business very well. And I was trying to learn that business. And, but I hung around with the wrong people, which kept me like pulling myself back. And then I would hear like, hey, you're going too hard, or hey, you're doing this. And it's the same thing, by the way, when I played, I know I'm all over the place. I'm just going through the scanning here. I'm giving you new content really, actually, that I don't really talk about often. When I was a scout team player on the college football team, I would go all out every day. Like it was my game because I wasn't going to get in the game, right? When I was a freshman. And the guys used to get pissed at me. And then I watched Rudy and I'm like, he went through the same thing. Like the people get pissed at you for going hard in practice because that was my game, man. I mean, like, and I'm trying to elevate you, but they would try to push you back down. They would try to make you introverted or pull back. And that happens in life all around. Like, why are you going so hard? I don't understand it. And people are really not talking about you. They're talking about themselves and really where they are, that they're not elevating. They're playing it safe. They're going back to their default positioning, which is just to survive. And so I noticed this in college football. Well, actually elementary school, all and up, college football. And then when I got into the mortgage game and I wanted to excel and I was like, look, move out of my way. You guys are moving too slow. they would try to pull you back. And so my whole life was always seeing this and not understanding why they were doing it until, I got mentored by Grant and just immersed myself in Grant Cardone's content. And he always talked about people that are saying these things to you. They're not talking about you. Stop being selfish and thinking people are talking about you when they're talking to you. They're talking about themselves, but they're just talking to you.
Yeah.
And then that made sense. It clicked. And I'm like, holy crap. Like this is the thing that like gave me validation to unleash the beast and be the animal that I am. And nobody's going to stop me because they're not talking about me, which I always thought they were. So this is a big lesson for everybody listening. Do whatever you like. Your dreams are so important. Life is too short. Whatever you decide to do in life, whatever you have yearning for, go bigger, do it. And don't let anybody stop you. Do it anyway, because that's the biggest lesson. And I wish I would have did it earlier on in my life.
Well, think about this, Mike. If you were surrounded, let's just give a number, 20 people that were great, highly successful people, they would never give you feedback like that. The feedback would always be the opposite, actually, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
That just validates that point more. Like, look at Dr. Dennis Waitley and a lot of the people we've had on the show so far. Many of them had similar issues than us. They had their own experience, their own version of it, but they grew up odd or whatever, and there was something wrong. Maybe their parents left or whatever. There was always something, that eventually they thought of themselves as odd, but the reality is they became super successful by turning off the noise. So
and let me add though, and being inexorable, unyielding, right, unable to be stopped. Like it's so important because most people quit.
Yeah, you're right. Being persistent. Absolutely. So, all right, Mike, thank you. We're going to move into your books a little bit and then talk about your business and some other, I got about maybe 10 or 15 questions here. Figure a few minutes for each. Let's see. I'm taking it easy today. As I was telling you before, Dr. Dennis Waitley, we had an awesome podcast yesterday, but a lot of energy. So this is a very relaxing interview. I want to talk about your book now, though. Tell us about your book. You got a book called Rocket Fuel, which was forwarded by Grant Cardone. That's not an easy feat to do. So you want to tell us a little about that book?
Yeah, I think that's the only book he's ever written a forward for.
Wow.
And I didn't know that at the time. When I started writing the book, I told my team, look, a couple things. I never wrote a book before. I don't even know how to write a book, but we're going to write a bestseller and we're going to make sure that Grant Cardone writes a forward because he was an impactful person in my life. Not to the point where I'm like a fan of, like, I'm not a fan. I literally immersed myself in his content and then created a life around that and then framed it in my own way so that I could continue to help other people. But I told my team from the start, if you're not on board with what I just said, those two things, you can't work with me, because everything that we do, every ounce of thought that we put into this has to go towards that direction. And we have to remove all obstacles. And so I wrote the book. When I got close to being done writing it, I said to myself, oh boy, like I made a commitment to myself. And remember, when I make a commitment, it's all in, like both feet, both butt cheeks, everything's in, man. I don't play the game where when people are watching, I do it. And when people aren't watching, I don't do it. I'm committed. So now I know I have to make this phone call to my friend, Jared Glant, who's the president of Cardone, and ask this question, which also what ran through my head is, am I going to make it an awkward situation for our relationship as friends if he can't do it, or if he can't pull it off, or he says no to me? And so I did it anyway. And I asked him for a quote for the book from himself. And then I said, oh, by the way, do you think Grant would write the forward for the book? and he said, you know what? I don't think he's ever done that. And I don't know. I know he wouldn't do it just for anyone. And I know it won't be free. And I'm like, well, dude, just give me the details. Cause I'm committed. He didn't know, like, I'm like committed to this. It's got to happen. Like, there's no other option. And I'm glad I didn't tell him that. He might've known this, like that I'm crazy like that. When I want something and I have it in my mind, I'm going to get it, because I didn't want to tell him, because I didn't want the price to be raised up, because I knew that I was going to do it anyway. And yeah, so then he came back with the details and all that. And I was shocked with what he said. The fact that he's like, yeah, he wouldn't do it just for anyone, but he will do it for you, because you do carry on the 10X torch in everything that you do, but it's going to be 75,000.
Whoa.
When you first heard that, what did you think?
Well, because you've written books, because
you've written books before, you know?
Yeah. Well,
And you don't,
it depends.
well, but when I first heard it, I'm like, this son of a bitch, are you kidding me? Like, really? Like, you got to charge me 75. I spent, I don't know, a couple 100,000 in different
Okay,
programs.
that's what I was saying.
Like
Depends on that. Yeah.
that's what went through my mind, is like, I spent like money and our teams had success, and I've shown the success we've had. And I had a little bitch moment for 5 minutes. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm thinking about this the wrong way. Like, first of all, his time is valuable, and I should, commend the guy for being like aware of his worth. Secondly, I said, this is a test. My commitment's being tested here. Am I going to rise up? Am I really committed, or am I just talking trash? And I said, you know what? I told Jared, I said, you know what? I might be crazy enough to just do this. So long story short, I found the money. I split it. I got some of my partners in the mortgage industry. We split it. I told them we're going to be involved together with everything I do going forward. I created a what do you call it? A consortium. I created a group. My 3 buddies, my partners and myself, we split it 4 ways. I wired the money and I said, hey man, the money's in the, in the account. And I know that they thought, is this guy freaking nuts? Or he's smart. And Grant said, no, this guy's smart. He knows what he's doing. And by the way, I didn't really have the 75,000 to spend at that time. I had the money. I didn't want to, I don't want to come off 75 grand, but I figured out a genius way to do it. And yeah, I might make less money going forward with the things I'm about to tell you that we're going to be doing, but I'm bringing my homies with me. And I think that's a powerful thing, because I got people rooting for me now. I created a situation where people had to root for me. It wasn't just a genuine root for me. They're invested. And so the forward got written. I'm the only person that he's done that for. So that's a story in itself. And that led to what we're doing now, which I'll talk about whenever you're ready.
And that's what I meant. I wanted to clarify, Mike. When I said it depends on how you use it, right? Like if you don't do anything with it, no, you got ripped off. But if you can take that and leverage that with your brand, like the fact that we're talking about this right now, it's obviously worked, right?
Right.
I mean, because you just said he doesn't, and I know this, he doesn't do it for anybody. Like even if he never did it before, which that I don't know, but I'm assuming, then that's crazy. That means that makes you extremely special, and that 75 grand is already working. So yeah, I mean,
And by the way, you're not ripping yourself, or you're not getting ripped off. You're ripping yourself off if you don't do something.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah. 100% responsibility is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Ants. So the book, Rocket Fuel, my life has been filled with setbacks, filled with discouragement and all kinds of stuff that I didn't ask for, right? I was put in this planet. I was put in this family. I didn't ask for it. But what I did with it is I converted it into rocket fuel. So the book's called Rocket Fuel Convert Setbacks, Become Unstoppable. And I wrote some of the stories I told you with other ones, and also my journey of being mentored by Grant and many others. Shout out to Brandon Dawson, Richie Dolan, Jared Glant, like many of my friends that now that were my coaches, mentors. And I told stories about that in there. And I have another book I'm working on now. So.
Wow, that's great. Well, by the way, if you need maybe a endorsement or whatnot for your new book, you know where to find me.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Now, you're solid stuff, man. I appreciate you being here. So in a nutshell, the rocket fuel, you're saying, is basically taking one's struggles and using it in a positive way, to use it as rocket fuel, as energy to get you where you want to go, right?
Yep. Okay. 100%. Storing in the tank instead of the trunk. Very simple concept. And if you do it proactively, you start to realize that when you set a target on something, like, I'm a moonshot. Like, I have a tech company right now. It's on my shirt here, Blooprinted. We're going to sell this company for $15.4 billion.
How much?
$15.4 billion.
That's your company?
Yeah, this is Blooprinted. Now, let me tell you, we just launched the first phase 1, right? We just launched. It's not even fully developed yet, but that's my moonshot. I know already we're selling this company for at least $15.4 billion. And some people are like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. That they're talking about themselves. Remember, they're not talking about me. I'm already here. And so we have already laid the groundwork for everything to take place for this to happen. We just have to execute now. I have big tech companies that have bought companies for, and I'm not going to say any names, but have bought companies for $20+ billion, have acquired, and I'm already on their radar and partnering with them.
Wow.
So, but this started with the decision and the moonshot of we're going to sell this company. We're going to get 15.1 million unstoppable people into our system. And then, and I'll tell you about the product in a second, but then we're going to get acquired for 15.4 billion. And I'm so certain
Where'd you
of
get
it.
that number though, Mike? That you have
Well,
like, did you actually work a budget out for that, or?
Yeah. So we basically tech has exponential multiples in valuation, 10 to 15 times EBITDA. So we can reverse engineer the numbers so we can know how many people we have to have on a platform, how much money they got to spend each month, the data that we have, the value of the data. But at the end of the day, I actually wrote a number that was lower than that. I started at 4 point some billion, I think 4.3 billion. And then I'm like, that's too small, man. Why would I put 4.3 when I could put 15.4?
Yeah, you should get at least 10.
So I just changed the number just to do it. And then now we're going after it. Like you have to set the GPS. Like if you get in your car, you got to put the address of where you're going in the GPS or you're not going to go anywhere.
Right.
So I put that in there and that's how we're going to do it. Mark Zuckerberg, I tell you this, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Mark Cuban, all these guys, they had this stuff already. People told them they were crazy. They had it in their mind already. You have to have it here first. If you don't have it here, you're never going to go there. So look, I'm going to do it. And then if we end up making 5 billion instead, hey,
that's still good.
I'll be a little disappointed.
All right. Thank you, Mike. So in summary, you want to show the book to the audience? Make a little close-up shot.
Yeah.
Wow. We can't see your name.
Oh, let me get over here like this.
There you go. There you go. That is beautiful. Look at that. Grant Cardone. That's amazing.
And so, I mean, look, the book is just, when I was finished, I was like, what's next? So, I don't know what your next question. I hope I answered your question. I got a little, I'm running this morning, bro.
No, you're great, man. You're great. All right. So we're actually, next question, we're going to talk about your podcast. So I want to learn about this podcast. Why do you have a podcast? It's called What Are You Made Of?
So I guess 2017, I got this itch that I had a story to tell and I had to get it out, but I didn't know what I was doing and how to do it. So I started thinking to myself, how can I make this happen? Like I got to get known somehow. And again, this moonshot, right, comes to my mind again. I'm like, well, I'm in the mortgage industry. We have a successful business. We're making millions, but that's not good enough. It's not like I'm happy and I'm satisfied and thankful, but it's not the impact that I want to make. I want to help people.
Yeah.
So I started thinking if I get known throughout all of Maryland, that'd be pretty good. So how can I do that? I got to get on the low. And I'm like, wait a minute. Maryland's too small. I need to get known nationwide. And then how can I get on Fox News? How can I get on like CNBC or how can I do this? Then I'm like, wait a minute. There's some, I don't know, 8 billion people on this planet. What if I got known globally? How cool would that be? Like people in Australia and like, how could I do that? And then I went a step further. And by the way, I'm pushing the limits here. And I know some people hear this and they're like, this dude's crazy, but just please call me crazy rather than lazy. Okay. Cause I don't want to be lazy. I started thinking if there's aliens, I want to get known by the aliens.
Right.
And that's the target that I set. I have no idea how the heck this is going to happen. I have no idea, but this is the thoughts that were going through my head. Remember, I have conversations with myself because I want somebody around me that thinks like me. And so I started like asking people, how do you get known? How do you become a speaker? And this is only 2017. And I got invited on a podcast. And Chris Donaldson, shout out to Chris Donaldson. He has a podcast. First one I was ever on. I got hooked. I got addicted. I'm like, this is cool. This is what a podcast is. And I started my own. I just figured out how to do it. And I just said from here on out, I'm not worried about downloads or subscribers. What I'm worried about is taking the content and then cutting it up into 30-second, 60-second clips and blasting it everywhere and becoming omnipresent. And then I set it up where if people watch the video one time, we retargeted them. I spent it wasn't even that much money. And I followed people around all the day, everywhere they are, social media, all the platforms there possibly is. I'm following people around so that they see me everywhere. They get sick of seeing me. I didn't even know why I was doing this exactly, except to impact people. But then it became very clearly recently that when we got into the tech thing, which I've already mentioned a little bit, everything became clear that, oh, this is why we're doing this. This is why I wanted to do this so bad. And so the podcast is called What Are You Made Of? It's a question I ask myself a lot. I look anytime I come into a tough situation where I'm like, I feel like quitting, or somebody's really getting to me, or I ask myself, dude, what are you made of? You were a 10-year-old kid going to child psychologist to see if you were mature enough to make a decision. You were abused. You had people all around you doing drugs. Like, you look what you made through. This is nothing. What are you made of? And so I bring other guests on to tell their stories of what ingredients have gone into making them, and let them share their stories so people can hear all the stuff that people have been through to get to where they are.
Thank you, Mike. So stepping back, so you got 2017, this idea for a podcast comes in. The book was launched. What was the date of that?
May of 21.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah.
So at what point, we're going to talk about your loan business a little bit, but at what point did you go from thinking like a regular entrepreneur, maybe business, maybe employee somewhat, to, okay, I'm actually going to start like looking on a global scale? Were you saying at the exact moment of the podcast, that's when you started entering this whole realm of high influencers and working your way into that direction?
Yeah. I'll tell you, when you're looking at other people that have done it, it's very intimidating. And the thoughts that go through your head immediately are, oh man, like I'm not getting enough. I'm not getting enough exposure. I'm not getting noticed enough. I'm not growing fast enough. It's not working. All these things go through your head. You start posting something, nobody's looking at it, no likes, no engagement. And you're like, oh man, what am I going to do? Like, these guys are way ahead of me. But you don't realize the journey they went on, because the journey to success is often invisible.
Yeah.
And so you have to start realizing that, and then drowning out and starving all those things that are going through your head, and then just go. And every time you accomplish something, you're like, okay, man, look what I just did. That can't be the top. Like if you're climbing a mountain and you go and there's a cloud level, and you say, okay, I got to just get through the cloud level to see what's up there above that. You get to the next level. There's another cloud level. Okay, that's not the top. I got to keep going. What's next? What's next? Not that you're not satisfied and not grateful for where you are, but I think it's evil not to go after the potential that you've been given by God. And so when God puts you here on this planet with unlimited potential, who knows what we can really accomplish? I got to keep doing this thing. And I'm nowhere near where I need to be yet. I just know that. And I know that I act like I've already made it other places, because I feel like if I already live this way and think this way, that I'm going to continue to be able to achieve more and believe. Belief is a big part of it. Believe higher. And then all the people around me will look up to me and say, you know what? I'm following that dude. It's an attractive quality to be able to cause and create futures for people. And that's what I'm doing.
So at what point though, did you want to start branding globally though? Was it around 2017? Like before that, did you have any vision of being around like Grant Cardone and all these big influencers?
No, not until probably, I would say 17, I got that itch to speak. And then when I went to the first Growth Con in 2019, I went to Miami Marlins Stadium. I saw Pete Vargas on stage, and nobody knew who Pete was. And he was scared and he's sweating, and he told a story about him and his father. And I was like, dude, I could do that. If Pete can do it, I can do it. Pete's good, by the way. And Pete's a friend of mine. He'll tell you he was sweating and scared. It was 34,000 people. But no offense to Pete, because he's phenomenal. But I just thought in my mind, like, wait a minute, this guy came from Texas. His story he told. Why can't I do it? Why can't everybody do this? And then that's when I went on that mission. So I would say it was February or January of 2019 is when I really said, I had 3 guys with me that I went to the event with, and we got in the car afterwards. And I said, fellas, I'm going to be on that stage. And it scared the shit out of me to say that, because I didn't know how I would even do it. I had no idea, no clue how long it would take. I said, I'm going to do that. And last year I was on stage. I was able to share my story. I wasn't one of the featured speakers yet. But then from there, I got Grant into tech. And now they have the 10X incubator. And now I'm going to make sure I'm standing on that stage again this year.
Wow. So 2019, that you went to this event, there was 34,000 people. And that's when you got the idea that you wanted to speak watching this guy, Pete, right?
Yeah, Pete, and then watching Grant. And I'm like, dude, I can do this. I know, I know I can do this. When I was 5, by the way, I was the MC for my kindergarten graduation. So
Oh, really? Okay. You got experience. That's funny. You know, the thing is 34,000 people there, and let's just pause what you were thinking. And the other 33,000, whatever and change people, how many of them were thinking the same thing as you? And I'm confident that it was probably very small. So the point I'm trying to make is, you must have something in you that wants to be different than everyone else. I mean, it's a calling, because it's not normal for most people to think like that. They're probably sitting there enjoying the story, saying, "Yeah, I remember that time. That's pretty cool." Or they're motivated and they're excited. They walk out of it and they're happy and thinking about what they're going to do next. But you actually said, "I'm going to get up on that stage," and there probably wasn't too many people that thought that, which is a good thing. It's just,
yeah, well, there wasn't probably, but there was one in particular person that I don't know if you're familiar with Brandon Dawson.
yeah. I actually had him on my stage in Clubhouse a few times.
Yeah, so he was there that day because he was checking out Grant, see what he was all about and what the 10Xers were all about and all that. And he ended up co-founding Cardone Ventures. Actually, I have his what about here? Cardone Ventures, which they're doing great. I mean, they should do, I don't know, 40 million this year probably, and that's only what, 2 years? Yeah. And they haven't even gotten to where they're really trying to go right now, which is scaling businesses and taking a little equity and scaling businesses and creating this big portfolio. They're doing it all through human ingenuity and training right now to build cash flow while they're going on their journey. And he was there and he got the idea there too. So there was a few people, I will say, and I've been mentored by Brandon. Thank God he was there. So, and then I thought, I'll share this with you too. And I'm being just transparent as hell with you. I thought to myself watching Brandon, I thought to myself, because I know his story and I watched the journey from the beginning of when he was partnered with Grant. How can I beat him? Now, in a good way, because I love Brandon. He's my mentor, coach too. And I said, how could I do something bigger than he's doing with Grant? And I have no background like Brandon. He was one of the youngest people to ring the bell on the American Stock Exchange. Sold his company for 150 some million. He's got a bigger resume than me, but I still didn't let that stop me. I said, how could I do something bigger than him? And then that's when I met Jared Yellen, who's the co-founder of my tech company and the co-founder with 10X Incubator with Grant. And that's when that story started. And
what year was that? 2019?
This year.
Jared?
This
year?
No. Last year, 2020, I met Jared Yellen. And he had this moonshot of launching 10,000 tech companies in 10 years.
Wow.
After he had already done it once very successfully with a tech company, he said, I can do this 10,000 times with 10,000 people. Like, I got to find the people.
Right.
And I said, you're crazy, but I like crazy. And I don't know how you're going to do it, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to be on board with this. Because, by the way, the guy was like, he wants to level the playing field. He wants to make it easy for people to get into tech, non-tech entrepreneurs to learn about tech and become tech co-founders and change their lives and change many other people's lives. And I'm like, I'm all for that. I want to create unstoppable people. Let's do this. So I launched Blooprinted with him. And I thought to myself, this 10,000 number, we need to like move faster. Like, I don't know how we're going to do this, because it's 84 companies a month for 120 months straight. And I was like, but we got to get there. So then I started thinking about Grant, and I'm like, I paid 75 grand for a book Foreward. There's a reason that I did that. This is the reason. And I told him, I said, let me introduce you to Jared Glant. And I did. And Jared was open to the meeting. They were thinking about tech anyway, and they didn't have like the avenue. And this just like opened up for them. They asked how, and then it appeared to them. And so they had a meeting. Grant got involved on the second meeting, and his eyes were lit up. And he's like, this might be the biggest thing I've ever done. And from there, 10X Incubator was launched. Now, the problem is, which problems are good, we all think about this 10,000, this moonshot, and everybody gets real excited about it. But then you got to do something, right? You got to do the work. Yeah. And now is the process now where it's like, all right, honeymoon's over about the moonshot of what we're announcing. We're going to keep doing it and be excited about it, but we got to do the work now. And now the work is taking place and the grind is on. And where are we going to get the money? And where deal flow is crazy. It's coming in. 100 companies in the portfolio already.
Wow.
We're launching a $100 million fund. It's called, well, the $100 million letter just went out. We're looking for $100 million to start a fund. We have 10X Tech Angels that just started. That's an angel investing network club that people get access to 60 deals right now that they can see early stage tech. We have 10X Tech Tank, which just started last Tuesday, which is going to be a show on every single day with people pitching tech ideas on Grant Cardone TV and on his YouTube channel. We have so many things going on. This thing is the craziest thing I've ever seen, how fast it's taken off, but it's all come from a vision that one guy had mixed with another guy's vision and another guy's vision. And it's all come together to produce this moonshot of 10,000 tech companies in 10 years.
All right. So we're going to talk about this. We'll have a little side discussion on that in just a moment. Just to finish up the podcast. So what kind of guests, what kind of guests have you got on here so far? And what's your experience with it so far?
I've had people from celebrities to athletes to Grant's been on there. Brandon Dawson. I'm sure if you're not booked yet, you'll be on there. I don't even know if they're booked yet, but you know, I went from the start asking for big people to come on the show. Like I didn't think to myself that I'm just starting out and who would want to come on my show. I just said, let me just ask and see who will come. So yeah, I think we're on episode 170.
Wow. 4 years.
And I started in fall of 2019. And then besides that, I did 300 interviews on other people's in about 18 months.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say it again. You did 300.
Besides my show, I did 300 interviews on other people's shows in the last 18 months.
Wow. Of just you.
Yeah, dude. I'm when I'm telling you that I'm going after what I'm going after, I'm absolutely obsessed. Like I can't, I don't feel like I'm doing enough actually. So
hey, we all need sleep though, right?
Oh, I get 8 hours, brother. But when I'm awake, I'm going.
Yeah.
I just and by the way, this obsession that you get with this when you get a moonshot, it's like a boat going through water and there's people like in their boats anchored or some tubes and there are people chilling, drinking beers, and you come zooming through and there's a wake that's left and everybody's pissed at you. And this happens often. And I have to figure out ways to deal with that the best way because not everybody moves or thinks as fast as me and my partners. So we have to kind of calm the water sometimes. So it's all kinds of stuff that happens when you start doing this obsession thing. So.
All right. So before we get into your business, there's a gap of time we're missing. I want to learn about your from, post college time to basically where you got to the point where you set up your podcast. You were in sales, you were selling all different types of things. So what was your life like for that gap of time?
I did it in home sales for 9 years and I did the same thing there. I did it for a period of time, was successful at it, but I was realizing this is not a big enough game. I'm in the wrong vehicle. So then I tried to open up one of those water treatment companies myself. And my wife and I moved from Maryland to Hartford, Connecticut to an open territory. And the wintertime was one of the worst winters they had ever. And we're from a beach town in Maryland. Like that's where we were living. And I'm like, this ain't going to work. And my wife was miserable. She would fly back home to see her parents. She missed them. And it just wasn't working out. So I think 6 months in, we were like, this isn't going to work. Like we could have success. Money was starting to flow, but you're not happy. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So I got back and then I ended up going back. And that's when I got my real estate license and started selling properties and also getting into the mortgage space as a loan officer. And I did that for about 2006 to 2011, 5 years, learned the mortgage business. And I got that feeling again, this is too small of a game. So I said to my partner, Chris, my best friend up from growing up, hey man, we gotta start opening branches. Everybody else is opening branches. Like we need to open branches. And in order to do that, we needed to move to Maryland, the Eastern Shore or somewhere else because where we were, we couldn't do it because it was already taken. And he came in one day and he said, my wife said she's ready to move. Let's roll. I said, great. Listen, anything that gets in our way, roadblocks, hurdles, we're going to go through, around. We're going to make this happen. And the two of us went to the Eastern Shore. We rented a little tiny office off of a buddy of mine in a warehouse and started running ads for assistants and processors. And we got a couple people and they wouldn't come to where we were located because it was kind of shady. So we met them at Starbucks and interviewed them. And we started building our division, just the two of us. We started building it out. And we got up to the most we had before was 50 employees and 7 branches, and doing over 10 million a year in revenue. And we're on a mission now to go to 100 million a month in loan volume. So we need to do about a 5x on what we're doing now to get there. And so what it was like, I was making decent money every year. I would make more money in the mortgage business. I was bringing other people in, learning how to scale a business on the fly, how to build culture, which I didn't know what the heck I was doing there. How to talk to people, how to hire, how to interview, how to motivate people. I learned all this through this business. And half the time I didn't really know what I was doing, honestly. And yeah, so that's where, that took us to now to the point where we still want to have this mortgage operation. I got it running now where it runs the day-to-day runs on its own. I just spent about an hour a day in it.
Wow.
But, and we're still going to go to where we're going, but now we're looking for the other vehicles. Like I said, the infinite scale of tech is just too sexy not to go after.
And by the way, Mike, I don't know if you noticed, I have a real estate background too. So I grew up in South Philadelphia, lots and lots of real estate situations when I was 7 years old, carrying concrete bags, and a lot of demolition throughout my teenage years and 20s.
Yeah. Well, have you ever heard when the masons or plaster guys are called mud, need more mud, hurry up. And then they would yell at you about the mud being too thick or too runny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I dealt with all that.
Did you own properties yourself? Did you get into all that and building? Or
Yeah,
you stayed on the loan side?
I had a few rental properties, but then I stopped doing that. I got out and started investing my money into my businesses. And I'm going to go back into real estate. And, when I feel ready, I'm just not interested in putting my time and attention there. I know it's a great investment. But I'm really involved right now with risk. Like I'm not afraid of anything. So I want to put I need to get big, and I'm just going to go risk it. And if I lose everything, then I'll just go back to building again, like I just did. And I have no fear in that.
That's good. And when people talk about real estate, a lot of people don't understand it's such a wide scope. So there are many mortgage people that don't do property flipping and all that stuff, and property flippers that don't know anything about the loan industry. It was smart of you, to just focus on what you do best, because if you're already making the money there, it might divert your attention where you could have made more in a more specialized area.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what else I've done, just for everybody listening. This has been so imperative, and I'm getting ready to invest really a lot more, is I invest in myself. I've spent, I don't know how much money over the last few years investing in myself, and I'm not done yet. And I want to create a situation where I have no roadblocks, nothing in my way that can stop me. And by the way, my mission is for all people. It's not for me. Like I feel like I have an obligation to help people and elevate people. So I just want to clarify that to make sure people understand that this isn't a thing where I want to get super rich. And I do. I mean, that's part of it, because if I have more money, I have more people I can help. But it's about elevating people. I want to make people feel like my heroes have made me feel. So talking about investments, I'm really leaning in heavy into myself right now.
That's extremely bright. And actually, Mike, the fact that you came from nothing and you built this loan business up really good. I'm assuming that's where you got the funding to really start pouring into yourself and pouring into the Grant Cardone ventures that you're doing, right? Because you don't just come up with 75,000 out of nowhere. I mean, come up with even your 15,000, your portion for a regular guy is hard to do. So you've accumulated funds from your financial successes of the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Right.
the mortgage business has been great to us. We've changed a lot of lives with it. And my 3 partners are my 3 best friends I grew up with since we played sports together, everything. And I created a pact with them and said, look, whatever we do, we're doing together going forward in life. And we take our money from there, we reinvest it. And that's what we're doing with this. Yeah, absolutely. 100% comes from that.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. All right. So moving on. Actually, you know what? Let's go into your new business. I think it's a good time. So what's called Blueprint.
Yeah, Blooprinted.
Blueprinted. Okay. You want to talk about that for a few moments?
Yeah. So when I met Jared Yellen, the guy that has the moonshot of 10,000 tech companies in 10 years, I got talking with him and I said, look, I'm a people builder. I want to create unstoppable people. And what I see with a lot of people is they don't know how to do something. So they don't even try. They don't even think about it. And there's courses out there, but the courses aren't working because they're all high level theory based. Most people don't even complete courses when they buy them. Anybody that's good at marketing can make a lot of money, but they don't get results. And I stand firmly against that. I stand firmly against people not getting results. So I want to create something that allows people to just follow steps. It gives them exactly what to do. They follow the steps and they complete it. And if they do better than the person that built the blueprint, great. But they have the steps. Like they just, okay, what do I do now? All right, do that. Go do it. Not sit through a course and then try to figure out what you're supposed to do. And so we created this platform that has a marketplace where people can go and search keywords, topics, industries, or experts. And then any topic, whatever industry, there'll be a blueprint for it to success. And all you got to do is download the blueprint. It's like a project management format. And you can put it on your calendar, however you want to do it. It integrates with calendars and you just follow the steps. So if I want to start a podcast, for example, all I got to do is download the podcast blueprint from the person that I want to, the one I want to get it from. And I just follow those steps. It tells me the equipment I need. It tells me when to buy the equipment, where to upload my podcast, how to repurpose my podcast, how to become omnipresent, granular step-by-step process, how to write a best-selling book, how to start a digital marketing agency, how to be a single parent and still be productive. I'm sure you have tons of blueprints inside of you. And so we wanted to create a marketplace for experts to be able to sell. We'll drive traffic to it. They can drive traffic to it, and they can have all their blueprints to success laid out to share with other people, which I feel is an obligation, a duty to share your success with people. And we started Blooprinted, and now we're launching. We're building our first 100 blueprints. And I'm looking for anybody that's an expert or has any expertise in anything that will work with our team. It's $2,500 to get started. And our team works with you and builds your blueprint for you based on your content and your input. And then we're going to spotlight those first 100 architects, we call them, the creators, and shine a light on them. They're going to have prime placement on the platform. And we're going to do videos with them and just shine, like I said, shine light on them so that they can get exposure and we can create some unstoppable people together.
Wow, that's awesome. So just trying to understand the process. If you have if you're great at something, so let's say, you want the master chef, you want to learn how to be a great chef, you get one of the top chefs on Iron Chef or something like that, and they'll come up with a blueprint to get where they are. And that's one thing. And if you want to be great like Grant Cardone will have a blueprint to how he became successful. And on and on.
Yeah, but really, like, there should be a page for that person, and they have several blueprints depending on what it is. Like Grant's going to do a blueprint for how to qualify your first real estate deal.
Gotcha.
So, and by the way, he's a partner in this business. So every company out of the 10X incubator is co-founded with Grant Cardone, Jared Yellen, and that co-founder, the tech co-founder. And so his interest in this is to blow it up as well and market it and promote it and throw gasoline on the fire. But yeah, you'll have a profile page and all your blueprints will be listed there. And there'll also be a marketplace where people can go and search for the different ones. And that Iron Chef guy, he might have a blueprint for making a certain meal or preparing a whole 7-course meal, how to become, that there could be it's unlimited potential. Like there's just so much you could do. And there's going to be an industry created around this where people are going to be certified to build blueprints for people. Because look, I don't want to build my own blueprint. I want to tell them the content and let them build it and put it in there.
So this company is one of the companies within your umbrella company, the 10X incubator, right?
Yes.
So you're going, like, you have a macro vision of the tech umbrella company, and then here, this is just one project that you like so much. You're like, all right, well, I'm going to run with this one too.
Yeah, I self-funded this. Most people get funding themselves. Like they go search for funding and raise funds. Me and my partners, we funded this ourselves.
Oh, wow.
So we put probably, I don't know, give or take 150,000 into it. And there's a lot of time and energy that's been spent, but also, I mean, the valuation of the company at this point is probably And again, this is less than a year. It's probably $5 million to $6 million right now, maybe even pushing 10.
So just looking at it from playing devil's advocate, as an influencer, I go on here, what will be the creators gain from sharing their secrets? I mean, obviously, there's a passion to share, but monetarily, how can they justify their time and energy here?
Well, this is for people that want to impact, right? It's for people that want to coach and consult or train. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't want to do any of that, you're not going to want to share your stuff. If you call your stuff secrets, you're not going to be on this platform. I mean, let's face it. But at the end of the day, if you have an abundance mindset and there's tons of money on this planet, there's no limit to success on this planet, you want to help other people because you understand that helps you. You could sell your blueprints for whatever you want. You name the price, you keep 90%, we keep 10%. It's a 90-10 split. And you can build a coaching business around this. You can build another division off of your own business off of this, because when you put your blueprint in there, you could be hands-on or as hands-off as you want to be. And the hands-on people are going to want to have, events around their blueprints and coaching events and group coaching. And, it's going to be a opportunity to build easily. You could build a 7-figure business around this.
So there's definitely a branding aspect to this for the creator to help support their own personal brand if they play their cards right, for the same reasons that they would want to have a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page, things like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, good. Any other thoughts on the new company you want to add before we go on to the next question?
Well, all the stuff that I just talked about, all the moonshots that I talked about should get people's attention. They're going to either laugh, discourage, or they're going to want to be a part of it. We need people to be a part of it. We can't do this alone. So we need people ranging from co-founders, investors, all the way down to people that just want to root for us. And we even need the haters. We need people to hate on us. We need people to tell us that we can't do it for fuel. Mm-hmm. So all the stuff that we're doing, we need people.
Thank you, Mike. All right.
Welcome.
What do you like to do for fun, Mike?
Well, I used to like to golf. I still like to. I just don't spend the time doing it anymore, because ever since I've committed to this mission, what I do for fun is I spend time with my family and I do this. And I don't feel like I work. I really don't. It's I love to travel too. I like to go to events and meet people and connect with people. But at the end of the day, like, everything else is just falling out from my interest level. I'm so obsessed with accomplishing this because of the impact this can have on so many people.
How about your physical self? Are you keeping slim? You go into the gym and all that stuff? Do you do that for fun?
I have a trainer. Yeah, I have a trainer. I get 8
I
hours
see
of
your
sleep.
guns, man. You're working out there.
Yeah, I have 8 hours of sleep. I plenty of water, eat right, and also I work out every single day, whether it's cardio or lifting, every single day.
Any martial arts?
No, I wrestled when I was in high school, but no martial arts.
Oh, me too. I was a wrestler.
Yeah.
4 years. Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. All right. Who are some of your celebrities that you work with? We already talked with some of them, but if you want to maybe summarize it, 30 seconds.
Like as far as the podcast, or just people that are like in general working?
Yeah, in general. I guess.
Well, I mean, I thought a lot of I was just in a celebrity basketball game recently with T.O. T.O. was on my team, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I got to throw a pass to him.
I saw the picture of that. What's up with that?
Yeah, there's this guy named Bubba Olmany. He's from this town in Ocean City area here, and he's a celebrity bodyguard. So I became friends with him, and he's got all kinds of connections in the hip hop world and athletes. And he wanted to throw on an anti-bullying and can't cause for curing cancer event. And he had a bunch of NFL players and Globetrotters, and then T.O. was there. And I just so happened to be on T.O.'s team, and I got the ball with T.O., which is just a crazy, like, I grew up watching the Cowboys, Niners, Eagles when he was watching all the stuff that went through, and who would have ever thought, like, just imagine, like, a kid. I'm a diehard sports fan. I'm like a fanboy of sports. Like I used to love getting my ball autographed or getting a foul ball at the Phillies game, going to Eagles training camp. And here I get like this moonshot, and this mission that I'm on has opened up doors for me to be able to hang out with these people. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I hung out with Juwan Howard in Miami recently, Michael Beasley, because I have a coach, Richie Dolan, that helps me out, and he coaches the Lakers and LeBron. And yeah, just opportunities open up when you start thinking big, man.
Yeah, absolutely. T.O., funny thing, maybe it was because of you, but he showed up in the audience of the room we were running one night, and he wouldn't come up to the stage, but he was sitting there, and me and the guy next to me was like, "Is that him?" He's like, "Yeah, I think it is."
Yeah, he came on stage with us in Breakfast with Champions, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he spoke about his wine. He's got a wine company. I'm not going to promote that right now because he's not paying me, but he's got a company. So he was talking about that, and you know, I think with T.O., he means well. I think that he's been through some things growing up, and you know, he gets a bad name sometimes, and probably doesn't do things the right way all the time. But after meeting him, I really see that he does have a good heart. He means well, and but dude, let me tell you something. He is a competitor, even on a celebrity basketball game. We were down by 18 points in the fourth quarter with 4 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
In basketball now, 18 points. And it's not NBA game, right? It's like a celebrity basketball game. I'm like, we're good. We tried. You know, he comes back to the bench on the timeout. He goes, guys, we're going to win this game. Get your heads right. We got 4 minutes to make this happen. Let's go. And he was dead serious. And I'm like, holy cow. He scores 22 points in the fourth quarter. Wow. And with 4 minutes left, we came all the way back. We had like 2 seconds on the clock. He drives in for a layup and just barely misses it. I thought he was fouled. We lost by 1. Wow. But to see the competitive, like up close and live, and not even a professional game, blew me away. But that's just an awesome experience yeah. So anyway.
Wow, that is pretty cool. Oh, geez. You like a lot of Philadelphia teams?
Yeah, I do. All of them. I love all of them. And I'm a sports fan in general, but you know, my heart's in Philly.
That's good. I knew I liked you, Mike. All right. How did you meet Grant Cardone, if you want to talk about that for a moment?
I think the first time was when Pete spoke on stage. Pete Vargas, he had a mastermind after that, and I signed up for it. And Grant came in and talked there, and I met him there. And then I think I really met him, like got to actually talk to him for the first time at one of his masterminds. I paid like 10 grand to go to, and 2-day event or something. And he was speaking, and you had the opportunity there. And then he had these mentor calls that he would do on Zoom once a week. And I always would log into the Zoom 3 hours ahead of time. Now, I didn't sit there for 3 hours, but I logged in and let my computer just sit there because I would pop up on a screen to be the first one on the windows. I figured that out early on. And every time I would come on there, there's 600,000 people, something like that, 600 to 1,000. But I would always be on that first screen, and I'd have "What Are You Made Of" behind me, C-Roc, and I made sure he saw that shit, man. Because I wanted to begin, like, I took his stuff, like get attention, get known, show up, and I did that over and over and over again. So all the stuff I did lined up, the book forward, all this, then the tech thing, he was open to that, and then you know it all lined up. And now I guarantee you, this is going to be the biggest thing he's ever done with us, or for himself with anything, and it all has a story behind it, which I don't even think he knows the whole story behind it.
What was the year that you met, or that you met Cardone? Like that whole, not that he met you, like you actually went to his event the first time. 2019?
Yeah.
So Mike, I'm extremely impressed with you, because if you think about it, in 2.5 years, something like that, around the 2 years, you have not only like just met the guy, but you went from that to partner in other things. I mean, you're running one of his top clubs right now in Clubhouse. I mean, that's amazing in a short period of time.
I can only tell you that this is a product of understanding that nothing can stop you. Like, you know, everything that comes your way is a training session or fuel. And once you understand that, you could set your targets high and so, you know, I really truthfully don't think I'm moving fast enough. And I feel like I should have accomplished more in that time, but I'm truly grateful for everything that has come my way regardless. But I just, I was telling my wife the other day, like, we're not doing enough. Like, I got to figure out a way to get known and let people know what we're doing here, because people need to hear this stuff. So I don't know what it is, man. I want to teach people how to do this, because it's not hard. It really isn't. Once you get on it, it's not difficult.
Thank you, Mike. All right. What do you like about the lending business? Maybe summarize that in 30 seconds or so.
What I like about the lending business is once you figure it out and learn it, it's not that difficult. I love the people that I work with, and as long as you have the right culture, just like anything, there's some bad people in the industry. And just like anything, the realtors, when you're working with realtors, everything's a 911 to them, and you're always the bad guy because you have the keys to the bank. And I don't like that part about it, but I like when we see the end product. Honestly though, I mean, it's not what I want to do the rest of my life. I'm just being honest. I mean, if my employees are watching, I love you guys. I want to elevate you and all that. But for me personally, right. I want to run it. I want to run the business of it, but I don't want to be in the day-to-day of it. And so, but the money's good, and it's got me to where I am today. So
The name C-Roc, like how did that unfold? And this is now your brand, your personal brand moving forward, right?
yeah. So my friends couldn't pronounce my last name, so they called me C-Roc in college. So I stuck with it. And I even had this is a funny story. I didn't tell anybody about this either. I had a blue Eagle Talon. I think it was a 95 Eagle Talon with a black top on it. And I put C-Roc on the license plate. And I used to drive around, and I was at a girl's house one time. And I guess she had a boyfriend, like ex-boyfriend, not a boyfriend. I don't want to do that, but ex-boyfriend. And one night I came out, my tires were slit and my license plate was gone.
Oh,
So,
geez.
but that's it. Started in college, man. And I just stuck with it because you know why? Mike is a common name and nobody can now pronounce Ciorrocco. So
Now, how do you say your last name?
I say it's Ciorrocco, but Italian, obviously you said it.
Ciorrocco.
Yeah. So that's Ciorrocco.
Ciorrocco. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the Italian, but the American's Ciorrocco.
Yeah. Same here. I could always tell a marketer, is Mr. Criniti there or Critini?
Right. Yeah. But so you just get tired of that after a while, and then it ends up working good for a brand,
Yeah. No, that's a great brand you got going there, C-Roc.
Thanks, man.
So, okay. Thank you, Mike. Can one book change the world?
Yeah, if it gets disseminated enough, but on the other hand, if one person reads it and that person's powerful enough, I should say, if they realize they're powerful enough, because everybody's powerful, it's just about realizing it and believing it. So yeah, I guess it could. Absolutely. And it only takes one person to change a life, to change many lives.
And that one book would change that person.
Yep.
Which could potentially have a butterfly effect.
Yep.
Great response. All right. How do you like Clubhouse?
Look, man, it's helped me big time. I'm a guy in there that speaks sometimes. I don't speak a lot, but what I do, if you see my picture in there, just know I'm like a duck on the water. You can't see my feet, and my feet are paddling fast. And the thing, what I do is I'm hitting on the pictures. I'm going to the bio. I'm going to the Instagram. I'm going to the DM, and I'm hitting them up, connecting with them, meeting like people, setting them up on a podcast, going on their show, telling them about our moonshot, seeing what I can do to elevate them. So I'm constantly, when I'm on Clubhouse, I'm working. And to me, people don't realize this, but every single room that you have, a title or a club, is a target for your marketing. You can target market in Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. I go to the rooms. I have fun in there sometimes too, but I'm going to the rooms and I'm target marketing, and I'm connecting with people.
And I got to give you more credit again, Mike, because there are many people in Clubhouse, and a lot of them are influencers, but you're one of the few that have actually capitalized and know how to work the system properly and make money with it. So, not many people can do that. There's people with 50,000 plus followers over there, and they haven't made any money and haven't figured out how to make money. Or if maybe it's not about money, building the brand, as in my case, they're not even, or relationships. Exactly. They're not even doing that. They're just sitting there and squatting and just collecting numbers, and it amounts to nothing but wasted time. So, I definitely commend you on that.
Yeah. Thank you. And by the way, you don't have to have your own room. You don't have to create an audience. Let the other people do that. If you're not good at that, let the other people build the audience. I've had rooms before where, a couple hundred people, and then I've had rooms before with 5, 15 people. And I'm like, you know what? I don't like to have to do that. I don't like to have to sit there and cultivate and build this freaking stage and all that. So let somebody else stay in that flame, let them build it. You go in that room and then just pop their people in a good way. Like you just hit them like, hey, this is me. This is me. You know, not spamming them, but really genuinely want to connect and help those people. And let the other people do it. And they set the thing up for you, man. They set the targets up for you. It's right there in front of you. Go after it.
And speaking of that, Mike, so you know how we met on Clubhouse, and you know I run some of the biggest rooms. You know, I'm a former finance professor, financial planner before that. I never even expected to be on Clubhouse until Sharon Lechter nominated me there. And then after a few months, somehow I got become the host of these big stages. And it is a lot of work. You're right. I didn't really want to do that. But when you help people out and you find a way to make yourself useful, sometimes even the most undesirable thing, if that's what's working and that's what's helping people, then you got to go that way. So
yeah, 100%. And by the way, I love Sharon. She's a friend of mine, and she's just like reminds me of an aunt or a grandmother or something. I don't want to say that about her age or anything, but that's what she feels like to me. And I just absolutely adore her.
Yeah, she's definitely great people. So speaking of Clubhouse, before we close on this talk, this particular topic, so Mike, you said you might be coming on our stage one day, and hopefully maybe next week or the week after. So folks, check that out. We'll be posting the time on the website, and especially my profile, Mike's profile. We'll set up a schedule and we'll post the time on there so you can have that on your calendar and come to the event. It should be really good. Mike's got a lot of following. I got a lot of following. We could probably build it to over a few thousand people in a few hours. So.
And by the way, Ed, just so if anybody's interested in becoming one of the first 100 architects for Blooprinted, if they want to do that, they can go to Blooprinted it's spelled BLOO printed.com/VIP and check it out.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. And we'll repeat that again when we close out the room. So Mike, we're just going to pivot into some more entrepreneur questions. I figure about 30 seconds or so for each, and then we can wrap it up.
Sure.
What role has networking played in your life?
Well, my superpower is connecting with people and finding out how I can elevate them by connections. So it's played the game is all about people, connecting people, seeing who can help you, help them. It's all about that. And a lot of times people say, well, how can I help you? And I don't even know them yet, and they don't even know me. So that's the wrong thing to do. The first thing to do, and to answer your question, it's the only thing to me, people, relationships. You have to build relationships with people. You can't find out how you're going to help someone until you know who they are and what they're doing. So I have people asking me sometimes, how can I help you? And I appreciate that, but I don't know, because I don't know you and you don't know me yet. So get to know the people, immerse yourself in their life and their content if you really want to build a relationship with them. And then the ways that you can help each other will appear.
Brilliant. Spot on with that. All right. Is mentoring important? And who are some of your mentors?
Yeah. So mentoring speeds up the process, saves you time, money, stress, relationships, confidence, just like Blooprinted does. And some of my mentors, the guy, Joe, that I went into the water treatment business with, he was one of my first. My stepfather, George, phenomenal mentor, not money wise, but becoming a man and how to respect people, treat people the right way. Obviously Grant, Brandon Dawson, Jared Glenn, even though he's younger than me, I look up to a younger guy there because he's an impressive dude. And then Richie Dolan, who's continues to be a good friend of mine and a coach.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. And pivoting into finance now, what are your favorite financial books?
I got to say that the first one that really hit me when I was younger was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, of course. And I didn't really understand what I was reading back then. And I actually have to go back and really dig into it more. But I understand now a lot from what Grant's taught me about real estate and make money, keep money, multiply money. I love obviously Think and Grow Rich. It's all the ones that a lot of people will say. And then anything by Sharon Lechter. She's, like I said, she's one of my favorites. So
Think and Grow Rich for Women?
No, I didn't read that one yet.
That's our pride and joy, believe it or not. Yeah,
I didn't read it yet. I should, but
it's good, Mike. 3 Feet from Gold. I read that recently.
Yeah, my friend Greg Reed. Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, I just was at his event at Secret Knock a month or so ago, and saw Sharon there. Many people. I connected with some phenomenal people there. You know, Jeff Hoffman was there, the founder of Priceline. Larry Namer from the E Channel, founder of the E Channel, was there. You know, just phenomenal people, man. Like, Greg's a good dude. Great book.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Mike. And do we need money to survive?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. No doubt about it. Like, that's not even, I mean, unless, well, to survive, I guess not to survive. Somebody needs money, right? If you're homeless and hungry and you find somebody to feed you, somebody paid for that, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my last book, The Survival of the Richest, that what you just talked about is a concept I created called survival by a third party. So yes, I totally agree with, of course you need money, but there
and
are those odd situations where people can't, you know, they have money that they're getting from somewhere else, like that homeless guy or people in prison, like they're getting it from a third party.
yeah,
So
it's coming from somewhere. And by the way, I appreciate you sending me your books. I got a trip to Scottsdale coming up here in a couple weeks, and I'm going to be taking those onto. It's a work trip, but it's a trip we earned so to have fun on. So I'm going to be sitting by the pool and checking out your book.
okay, all right, thanks, Mike. Okay, and is finance necessary for everyone? Why or why not? It's a follow up to the last question.
Well, I mean, it's not necessary for everyone. As far as, I mean, in what context? Like, no one
Yeah,
understanding
no,
finances.
let me clarify, because in the mortgage, the lending business, the term is confused. They call finance when it should be called funding, in my opinion.
Right.
Finance, I'm talking about science, the science of finance.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. You know, when you lack understanding of something, you have insecurities. So, you know, if we weren't understanding finance, we weren't understanding economics, you get insecurities, and that's where a lot of people are insecure in those areas. So, you know, finance, absolutely. I mean, well, but if you don't, you're still going to live. You might live less time, and you're not going to
Right.
enjoy your life as much, and or most importantly, be able to help other people.
Brilliant, brilliant response. Thank you, Mike. And 3 questions left. How important is having a purpose in life? And actually, what is your purpose? That's 2
Oh,
questions.
that's changed my life. Like, forget this mission. I have a mission. I say it all the time. All people are unstoppable to live in life of their dreams. All people are unstoppable to live in life of their dreams. My mission is to live through that. Thoughts, words, actions. When I wake up in the morning, everything goes towards that mission. If it's something going against it or doesn't serve it, I remove it. I handle it first. I talk about if it's a person. Say, listen, this is my mission. You're going against my mission. You either have to support it, go with it, or you will self-select out. It's not me cutting you off, but you're self-selecting out of my life. And so absolutely imperative to do anything. And I think that's really one of the things that's really elevated me so fast to where I'm going is my mission.
I'm right with you. Great response. Thank you. And what can you define your mission? Like, if you can say that in like 20 seconds, what would be your mission?
All people are unstoppable to live in the life of their dreams. It's simple.
Nice.
Because if you overcomplicate things, you can't make decisions quickly. So my decisions come from, okay, does it serve that mission? Yes or no? Great, do it. No, get rid of it. Simplifying, binary decision, towards or away, building or destroying. That's it.
Thank you, Mike. What would you like to accomplish in the next 10 years or so?
So, you know, this isn't the only tech company that I'm going to do. I can tell you that, but we're going to build, scale, and sell Blooprinted. I mentioned that already. $15.4 billion. But in order to do that, the lives that we're going to impact and change are just unbelievable. Like I said, it's going to be somewhere around 15.1 million people are going to have access to changing their lives, to becoming unstoppable at what they want to accomplish. So that's going to happen within, you know, probably 3 years or less. And then from there, the next I have another technology company that we're starting right now. It's called Tipperosity, which is a movement that I'm going to be starting about generosity and how generosity will elevate you, and how generosity is an energy that you're pushing out, and then it flows back to you in multiples. And it's a, play on words between generosity and tipping. So Tipperosity. So that's going to be a company. I'm sure that one will be a big hit too. And that'll be exiting for, I don't know how much after we impact people. So, and then continuing on with my family and being the best father and husband I possibly can be while I'm doing all that as well.
Yeah. Family first. Absolutely. Very important goal for many. What good is having all that money and then you have no family left, no one to support you? You're a core group of one lonely person.
Absolutely.
But you might be rich, but you're lonely
Agreed.
at that point.
Agreed.
All right. One last question. Thank you, Mike, for your patience today. What would you
Yeah,
like
man.
to be your legacy to the world?
I want people to say when I was around that dude, I felt unstoppable. And then I became unstoppable. You know, I want my, like anybody that's around me, I want this legacy to be that he made me feel like my heroes made me feel. Like that's how I want to, you know, and when I come on a podcast, like my intention is to light people up. Like when you get done this show, I want you to go, like, you got to tell somebody about C-Roc. Like this, I wasn't expecting this, but this guy is unreal. That's my intention ahead of time. And so when you get off of this, I want you to be able to accomplish more. That's the legacy I want to live, man. And it's important to me. And then one day you look back and say, I had that dude on my show because of the stuff that I'm going to have impact with other people. So yeah, that's what it's all about, man.
And that's a great point. I got the superstar before he's a superstar, because when he's a superstar, it might be a lot harder to get on the show. Imagine trying to get Grant Cardone, 10, 15 years ago. It'd been a lot easier experience than now, right? So
yeah, but the other thing though, and I'm a superstar now. Before I'm
you are a superstar. Exactly.
No, but I'm just saying, like I know this in my head.
Yeah.
Other people may not.
I know.
I do.
That's
and that's
why you're
important
here.
for people. But but it's important for people to realize that for themselves. You need to be what you want to be. Just because other people don't believe it or see it yet, that's not their, it's not your problem. So that's what you got to do. And then what happens is people start believing it because you're so certain of it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks, Mike. And by the way, yeah, I will be promoting this too. I have, hundreds of thousands of followers. So, and when I talk about it on Friday nights, I'll mention this as well. So
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Well, I'll pin it to the top of my Facebook too. I'll give you tons of exposure. Don't worry.
Thank you. Man.
You're welcome. And that's it. So I want to thank you for being here, Mike. And I appreciate you, man. I really do. And I want to say, especially, you love Philadelphia a lot. So I give you a bonus credit for that. I want to turn the floor over to you. Anything you want to pitch, promote, you want to talk about your websites, where people can find you. The stage is yours. Yeah,
man. First of all, thank you again to you and your audience for showing up. So important, but I just really, I want help. I think people don't ask for help enough. I want help accomplishing what we set out to accomplish. If you want to get on the ride with us, you want to do whatever you can do, cheer for us, hate on us. I need help. Me and my team need help. So please help us. I'll beg you, because we're going to go to this and impact so many people and we can't do it ourselves. So that's the last thing I'll say is please help us.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. And we're going to close out now, folks. Oh, by the way, so what was your website address again, Mike?
Yeah, if you go to Blooprinted, BLOO, printed.com/VIP.
Okay. And you're available on all social media.
Yeah, you can find me anywhere. I answer all my DMs too.
That's really good. All right. So thank you, Mike, again for coming on today. And folks, this is Dr. Anthony Criniti IV, also known as Dr. Finance. You've been listening to the Dr. Finance Live podcast episode. Thank you for joining us. If you want more information, check out Mike at his website he just mentioned. Also, my website's here, drfinance.info, for more information about myself. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to all the social media platforms. I'm just like Mike everywhere, from Facebook to LinkedIn. Also, don't forget to follow and like this podcast. It will be streamed. It will be put on YouTube and then streamed out to all the different podcast directories the top ones that you can name of. One of the thoughts I like to talk about my books real quick. So don't forget to read, if you're interested in finance books. So my first book, The Necessity of Finance, I wrote that for my students as a professor about 10 years ago. How important finance is. It's the necessity of finance. So you can get your best overview of the subject. I later made this book, The Most Important Lessons in Economics and Finance. It's about 218 principles of the best time-tested principles of finance throughout history. and later discovered that a lot of my theme that I talked about in my first two books was about survival. And that's how I led to this giant book here, The Survival of the Richest, which ties biology, economics, finance, and survivalism together. So folks, thanks again. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye now.